Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management. And today we're covering price book strategies for maximum profit. This webinar will cover a price book overview, pricing defaults, maintenance plan pricing, percentage discounts, percentage upcharges like after hours or card processing fees, dollar amount discounts like coupons, and recommended items. We will do a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And really the first thing to know is that your WEX FSM price book is a centralized space in your system where you will create and manage the products and services that you sell to your customers. Today's webinar will specifically focus on strategies for using your price book. I'll assume that you know the basics, so we're not running through a full job from start to finish. We will just be going over some tips and tricks on how you can fully maximize your price book. Now, some benefits just upfront of using your price book as it relates to your business is it keeps your pricing consistent to ensure everyone is on the same page. You all have the same point of reference for pricing. It will prevent or at least deter your technicians from coming up with their own pricing on the spot. If they're not given what to charge, they'll just charge what they think they need in the moment. And so this can give a point of reference for your technicians. It avoids inconsistent customer experiences and inconsistent revenue. If you're charging differently with no rhyme or reason, then you're going to notice those inconsistencies. It eliminates the guesswork. You never have to think, oh, I forget what price this is. You already have it in your price book. It's referenceable immediately, and it takes out that guesswork. It will protect your margins while also improving customer trust and aligns the office strategy with field execution. Let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM and take a look at pricing defaults to start. To do this, we will go to More Applications, Price Book, Pricing Defaults. The pricing defaults page will show the standard pricing that all items in your price book will have by default, and that your parts markup multiplier here you will set. And for any parts that you add, it will allow you to set what multiplier is happening. For example, if I enter in a product here for $100, it will use the markup multiplier that's set here and will charge the customer $150. As you update and edit this, it will change. And just know this is just setting your default. So if you add an item that you want the multiplier to be different, you would just change that in the moment when adding the part itself. Now, for your pricing defaults, you also have some modifiers that you can add here. And these are going to be discounts that you may want to add, or you can do upcharges here. And I have some examples here. So one example, someone is a really close friend or a member of the family, and I just want to give them a discount on a service. When I'm out on the job, there is a pricing strategies section. I can change it from standard price to friends and family, and then it will apply the discount that you have here to any items in your price book that have the friends and family discount turned on. And so just these are some basic ideas. For after hours, maybe you don't work on the weekends unless it's an emergency, but someone calls you on a Saturday, you go out there, you want to charge them after hours pricing. You put in how much you're going to charge extra here as an upcharge. And then when you are on a proposal or invoice, you can just select maybe you're changing it from standard price to after hours pricing, and then that will update the pricing on any price book items that have that turned on. Just for a quick reference to show you where you can toggle and control this per item, we're going to go to More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book. And this is kind of how these work together. So I'm on the My Price Book page. We're going to go to a part, let's just say this general part. And then here are the pricing strategies. So each individual item in your price book will allow you to set the, I guess, discounts or upcharges that you want to be able to apply to this. If you do not want it to apply, let's say we do not want to add any type of discount for our labor, then I would just on my labor items, make sure that those pricing strategies are turned off. Next is the maintenance plan price. Now, this is pretty unique. So the way that this works, if you have a maintenance plan customer, it will automatically apply this discount. And, we're talking strategy here. If you want to get more people to sign up for your maintenance plan program, yes, offering the maintenance is great. That's the main reason why someone would sign up so they can know that their equipment is being maintained throughout the year. But maybe they're a little hesitant, and you can let them know, hey, if you sign up for our Comfort Club plan, then you will get 10% off every service moving forward with us. Or, you'll get 10% off all parts that we may have to order. So you will get a discount as a member of our maintenance plan program. And that may just be the push that your customer needed to sign up. And if you sign them up on a recurring payment plan, now you have some recurring revenue coming in that you did not have before. And this maintenance plan pricing is one strategy that you can use to get customers to sign up. Next, let's take a look. Hold on. Yeah, so let's kind of see this in action a little bit before we come back to here. So, I'm a visual learner, so I always like to kind of show an example. Let's go to a job. Let's search for my customer, Justin Hernandez. And we're going to create a new job. And we'll just say this is a service call. And then let's create this with an invoice. Now that we're on the invoice and we're thinking price book, we're going to hit add item to add items to our price book. Let's add just a general part. And you can see, there it is. Justin Hernandez is a maintenance plan customer, and they automatically got the maintenance plan discount. So this is kind of an example of what I was talking about here. Now, if you wanted to update this, you would go to pricing settings, and you could put it back to the standard price. You can change this to friends and family discount. You could change it to after hours, charge them more. And so this from desktop is where you change the pricing strategy. You can also choose to hide the maintenance plan pricing if you don't want this little red savings area to show up. And so that's up to you. Let's say we just want to put this back to standard price and hit update. Now we can see the discount has been removed. So that's seeing that maintenance plan pricing in context, and then also where on your invoices it's the same spot for proposals. This is where you can update the pricing strategy here. You can also if we, let's go ahead, we'll just discard changes here. You can also update the pricing strategy from the job. So I'm on this job. Let's say I'm not going to make the invoice for a week. Like I know we have a lot of work to do for this company, and they'll pay us at the end when we make the invoice. But I want to make sure that the pricing is set correctly. So right here, you can set it to, let's say military discount. Then, whenever you make the invoice, it will take on the job price, the pricing strategy that's selected when the invoice was created. All right, let's go back to our pricing defaults page. Again, that's more applications, price book, pricing defaults. Another strategy that you may want to use for one of these modifiers could be a upcharge for someone who is making a like a large purchase, and you will be charged. So when you're processing through WEX FSM, there are processing fees. And so maybe on a $50,000 job and the customer pays 50 grand, that's going to be a pretty good amount of processing that you will be paying for using WEX FSM to process. That is standard. That's something that comes with card processing, but maybe you would like to charge that processing fee on to the customer. So we do not have an automatic way to do this, but this is a strategy that you can use from here. You can, maybe I want to change this military discount to a, paying with card. Or maybe probably better would be processing, fee. And we're going to add 3%. And then we're going to hit save. And so now I have my invoice. I set the processing fee, and it's going to add 3% to all items that have the processing fee added on. Your customer won't see this. Your customer will see just the price of the items that you have on the invoice, but they won't see the pricing strategy that you're using. So that is nice that it's not like a line item processing fee. It's going to add 3% to all the items that are in the list. You just have to make sure that this pricing strategy is turned on per item. So that is one way that you can kind of, get some of that uh, money back for the processing fees that you would charge for larger ticket items. Next, oh, you know what? Actually, last thing on this. So last thing on this topic, and this is a very important part of this, which is any changes made. Now I'm actually reading this out loud. Any changes made below to the pricing strategy default section will take effect when creating new products in the price book. Existing products in the price book will remain unchanged and need to be updated manually. This is highlighted in yellow with the big exclamation point because this is important to know. If I change any of this, if I update my multiplier, I change my percentages down here, and I hit save, that change will only apply to new items that I add afterwards. If I go and try to add the new friends and family discount to a pre-existing invoice, those price book items will not take on that change. If I create a new price book item, add that to an invoice, it will take on the new change. Now, you may be saying, wait a minute, I want it to apply. I would, if I make a change here, I want that to apply to all of my price book items. To do this, you will actually just reach out to customer care, click on the help center, the little smiley face guy here, and you can simply contact support. and you just let them know, hey, I just updated my friends and family discount from 10% to 15%. I would like this to apply to my entire price book. That's a service request. It's typically a 1 day turnaround. And then after that, it will apply to all of your items. And it is slightly different if you have Profit Rhino, which is the flat rate price book. Profit Rhino will take on those changes immediately for all items in the price book. So there is a difference between the two. Next, let's look at another strategy that you could use for uh, just sales and enticing your customers to buy from you is to use discounts, and more specifically, dollar amount discounts. To set this up, you will go to More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book. Now, you don't have to do this, but I made a discounts category. I made a folder just for my dollar amount discounts in the price book. And to add a dollar amount discount, we will click Add Product, click the drop down, and select Discount. And then we just say what it is. Is it a $10 discount? Maybe this is in correlation with a email marketing campaign, $25 off for new customers. Start to get a little creative here, but this is a place where you can offer discounts. Enter in the information, hit save, and that will add your discounts here. Then, when you're on an invoice, you can just add it like a normal price book item. We'll hit add item. I'm going to go to my general discounts folder, very easy to find, and we will apply, let's say, $25 discount. And there we go. It just subtracts it from the price. And your customer is able to see what this is. So, make sure the title is customer friendly. You can even add a description, maybe thanking them for their service, whatever it is. And now we've added the dollar amount discount. Now, you don't want to overuse discounts, but it can be a good way to entice customers to purchase where maybe they didn't, or to help correct some mistakes. Maybe something took a little too long, or your customer is upset for whatever reason. You can throw them a discount real quick on their proposals and invoices with this feature. While we're here, let's also talk about using recommended items. And so, the name of the game is to get more money, especially as a growing business. You're going to want to get paid more per job, and recommended items are a great way to do this. You're going to go out, you're going to do your normal job. Maybe you're charging them for parts and labor. This is what your normal, you came here to do this, and now we're charging the customer for it. But with your expertise, maybe your field technician sees, hey, you have a filter that needs to be replaced. Really opening your eyes and looking at the full picture, making sure that your technicians are trained to be aware of what to look for per certain jobs. But once they know that, you can build out recommended items in your price book and then add them as recommendations so you can present those to your customer, and maybe they say yes. And if they do, you just raised the revenue for that job. To do this, we will go, and down below we have a section for recommendations, and you will click Add Recommended Item. Now we're doing this on desktop on an invoice, but this can be done on mobile, and the same process is true on proposals. Now that we're here, you can add any item you want as a recommended item. If you want to make a folder specifically for recommended items, you can do that. You would just go to the categories page and add that. And I have done this. So I'm going to my Pricebook folders. I know I need to recommend something on every single job just to make sure our law of average is up for recommended items or for approvals. And let's go to service call, and we need to do, I would recommend a filter replacement. Maybe I'm literally holding their filter and there's leaves on it. And I say, I could replace this for you today. It'd be 67.50. And you're getting a discount on this filter replacement because you're a maintenance plan customer. And they say, you know what? Let's do it. You will click the thumbs up, and that will take it from recommendations to products. And now we're charging them. And that's huge. I mean, it may not seem big in the moment, but an extra $20, extra $100, extra, you know, $500. Now, over time, with the recommended items, you are starting to add more money to your cash flow and make more money per job. All right. So that is our last strategy that we are going over to use. And just to wrap up, some office best practices. I recommend that you regularly review your pricing for accuracy. So, being in the price book, I think at least when I first started, I was thinking, oh, I'll just set everything in the price book and it'll be good to go forever. But we all know that prices change. And so coming to your price book, spot checking it, making sure things are actually the correct price is important to do from the office side. Also, for field best practices, the field technicians need to trust the price book and need to be able, I guess, they need to feel comfortable communicating if something's not right with the pricing in the price book. It's very important that communication is happening between you and your field crew and make sure, maybe even letting them know if they see something that isn't correct to let the person know in the office who's updating the price book to make those changes. And so, really, just as long as great communication is happening and you're checking this often, you can avoid pricing mistakes like having outdated labor and material pricing. Uh, Make sure you're not overusing those manual discounts. You don't want inconsistent pricing between your different technicians out in the field. And you don't want to have a scenario where, maybe you're doing an after hours job, but you don't have that set up. So you don't have a way to actually apply that easily. So hopefully today has been helpful for you. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Pricebook Strategies for Maximum Profit.